Minnesota has the 7th highest state and local taxes in the U.S. Should that make you not retire there? Let's dive in this a little bit deeper. Going from the Center for American Experiment, AmericanExperiment.org. John Phelan is an economist up there. Big fan. Long time, first time. When I write about Minnesota's high tax burden, I often get two responses. One is to say that the measure I'm using is wrong and that our taxes really aren't that high. The second is to admit that we have high taxes, but they pay for a bunch of cool stuff that the government does. Leaving aside the latter point for now, what about the former, that our taxes aren't really that high after all? The problem is that study after study finds that they are. The latest comes from the Minnesota Center for Fiscal Excellence, which finds that our state has the 7th highest taxes, state and local taxes in the U.S. Now that sounds bad, but let's read this. Minnesota state and local governments continue to be less dependent on property and sales taxes than the national average, both ranking in the bottom half. Okay, well that doesn't sound bad. Minnesota's above average tax collections are offset in part by less state and local reliance on federal government and other non-tax revenues. As a result, total state and local tax revenues are 5.2% above the national average, placing the state in the 22nd in the nation. Minnesota ranks 10th in the nation in total state and local spending. Well, that's not good. Only one area, public welfare, ranks in the top 10. Only one area, public welfare, which is health and human services, ranks in the top 10 nationally. 85.9% above the national average. In addition to HHS, health and human services, state and local governments spend more than the national average on K through 12 education, higher ed, natural resources, and parks and police. And this confirms what we at the Center for American Experiment have said before, namely that Minnesotans are some of the most heavily taxed citizens in the U.S., and that our state's welfare spending is also some of the highest. All right, that seems a little bit. Let's take a gander here, shall we? So let's go over the Tax Foundation, and we're going to type in Minnesota. All right, so let's see. Let's pause it real quick. This Tax Foundation, state local tax burdens per capita as a percentage of income. That's interesting. In the U.S., the average is 10.3% of your state local tax burden as a percentage of the state income. The per capita per head is $5,755. We go down to Minnesota, it's $7,000. It makes Minnesota the 46th most competitive. Let's keep going down there. State and local percentage as a we keep going down here. I want to go down here. State business tax climate. Right now I'm not all that concerned with that. We're gonna go down to state tax collections per capita. All right, so we're gonna go to Minnesota here. 5,000 tax collections per capita, number 5 in terms of how much they get you. So they're coming after you. State tax collections per capita. So they're coming after you. You're not going to escape state taxes there. All right, let's see what else. I want to see. Let's go on a second. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see right here. Individual right here. So property taxes, the percentage of taxes that you pay in the U.S. as a whole is 31% property, 25% individual income tax, 23% sales tax. All right, so what are you paying in Minnesota? So let's go down. It's interesting, actually. 25% in property, 16% in sales, and 33% in income tax. Interesting. There's Florida with nothing, Alaska nothing. But notice Alaska's property tax, almost a half of its property tax. So Minnesota, they get you, their corporate tax isn't all that high, but they get you in the income tax, but not in the property and certainly not in the sales. That's interesting. So if you go to, here's Massachusetts, they get you high in the property tax, not much in the sales, and pretty high in the income tax, but that's the bad one right there. Interesting. If we go to New Hampshire, it's going to be very high in property tax. 63% property, hardly anything in sales, hardly anything in individual income tax. So you're going to pay through the, whoa, hear that? Hear that? It's thunder. It's okay. Oh, it's okay. And you can see Tennessee, they don't get you in income tax. They don't get you hardly in property tax, but they get you in sales tax. Texas, high in property tax, nothing in income tax, and high in sales tax as well. Hey, where I'm going with this, I'd rather have a low property tax and a high income tax because you can maneuver around the income tax. You can't maneuver around the property tax. Isn't that interesting? So I might do another video on that. Federal aid is percent of state general revenue. I bet Minnesota doesn't get much. Let's see. They get 26% of their federal of their general revenue comes from federal aid. And if you look at Montana, 44% of their general revenue comes from federal aid. Wow, Montana's crazy. I bet West Virginia's way down here. Yep. Well, that's not as bad as I would have thought. Just goes to show you, man. I bet Massachusetts, yep, only 28% of their revenue comes from federal aid. A lot of New York, I bet's low too. That's more than I would have thought, but still 36%. A lot of the high tax states don't get the money back. I get California's, there's still not that. They're pretty low. 31st, that's for sure. Where's Virginia? 50. Virginia gets the least amount of federal aid. Isn't that interesting? I might have to do a federal income tax payments by income percentage. Ooh, I love this. All right. So anyway, there you go, Minnesota. So not everything is what it seems. So just double check before you start saying, I got to get out of here. All right, we'll see you.